But inequality as a concept, I mean, Harry Frankfurt has this brief book about inequality. It's called On Inequality, I guess, if I remember correctly. And he says inequality is not the issue per se. We should worry that everyone has enough, and he proposes this sufficient minimum. You know, how you see that proposal?
I mean, I like the book so much that if you turn the book over, there's a blurb from me praising it.
Oh, I have the.
Yeah.
It was,
I think Harry. What I like about what Frankfurt says is he says to most egalitarians, "You're missing the point."
Right. Exactly.
The point is to make everyone equal. I mean, if we were all equally poor, that would be horrible. The point is, when you're thinking about institutions and you're thinking about the background rules that we're going to live under, to justify those rules to everybody, you have to be able to say, your life goes well under these rules compared to certain alternatives. And that means thinking about poverty. And I've noticed when I talk to students, especially students on the left, they often slip very quickly from talking about poverty to talking about inequality. Right. But let's be clear, nobody dies from inequality. People die from poverty. Right? If you look at, say, what's happening in the parts of the world where there's still famine, it's not like, oh, the problem is they're unequal. The problem is they don't have food. They need food.
That's why they migrate to other
places.
places.
In the places where people are diseased, the problem isn't that, like, well, you don't have disease and they do. The problem is that they have disease. You don't fix the problem of the problems of poverty simply by equalizing things. You fix them by creating more. And actually, if you really want to eliminate poverty, we need more. That's the thing that people miss. Growth is imperative from a left-wing point of view. If I were to, try to find a thing I'll use as a magic wand, if I were to wave this magic wand and equalize all world incomes, and imagine I could do that without lowering the total amount of stuff produced at all, which is not plausible. In fact, it would. But imagine I could just simply equalize all world incomes right now. What this would do is put everyone in the world at what the U.S. considers the poverty line. It would put everyone. It would mean everyone in the world just barely makes it. There's not enough stuff right now. So if you want to eliminate poverty, you need a continued growth. And for what it's worth, the world is on that course. So if we have just a modest growth rate worldwide of about 1% over the next 100 years, then by the year 2100, the average person alive in the world will be as rich as the typical person in Canada or Germany today. So we're on track to escape the situation of poverty. Right now, only about 9% of people live in extreme poverty, whereas in 1960 it was 2/3 of people, and in 1900 it was 95% of people. So poverty is disappearing before our eyes, and people are being lifted up, but it requires continued growth. Equalizing things is not sufficient because there isn't sufficient stuff right now to eliminate poverty.
Do